Hello and welcome. Sue here from the Unicorn Advisory with another exciting update from Kajabi Evolved, where I'm looking at some of the new features and functionality that Kajabi introduced last week. And so you know what it is and how you can use it. And today I'm looking at communities. Now, communities itself wasn't necessarily part of the overall update. There's been a heap of communities improvements lately, except for the fact that we now have free access to communities in every single Kajabi account. You don't need to upgrade your account to get free access to communities. Every single plan now has a community included, which is phenomenal. I recently did an entire start to finish setup of a Kajabi community as part of my Kajabi 101 Quick Start membership. So if you do want more information and you want to have that 3-hour workshop tutorial where I go through everything in your community so you know how to set one up if you don't already have it, then please do just comment below. It's $199 a year for that Kajabi 101 Quick Start membership. It gets you access to workshops, live monthly Q&A with me, and so much more. So if you want to know more, you can go and grab it there. Plus, there are lots of other videos that I do about different aspects of community on YouTube, so you can check in with those. But let's just say you have a Kajabi community and you want to really make the most of it. Well, there are some new automations that have recently been introduced that will really help you make the most of your potentially brand new community. One of the other things within community is that we now have unlimited access groups. Now, access groups are these areas of the community. So for example, we have this Kajabi 101 Quick Start area here. This is my membership content. So members get access to all of these parts of the community. And these are also linked here to some course products that come along with the membership. So members can actually, for example, come into the tutorial library here, and it will now hopefully, show up. This is an actual course product within Kajabi. So this course is now linked directly to the community. Members can go through the course, do the lessons, see the modules and everything just as they could if they were accessing it directly. So it's a really nice way to make community a central hub for your offers. And it's a nice way to be able to offer things like pop-up communities. If you're running a challenge, maybe you just want to offer a community for a short time. Now that you've got that unlimited access groups, maybe for each course, you're able to have a separate area rather than before where sometimes you had to group it into one big access group for an all access office hours. A lot more options now, which I really, really love. And just to clarify, you don't need to change your plan. You don't need to be on any specific plan to have access to the free community. Community and the access groups no longer take up any products, which I am very, very excited about that. But there are some cool stuff that you can do. And I'm going to show you how you can do it with automations in order to encourage engagement within your community. So I've set up a few things in my community. For example, the fireside chats. This is something that I've kept live, but I generally only run for a short period. The previous fireside chats went from mid-July to mid-August. And so you could run an access group with community related to that just for a short period of time. I've also done some other things where it's just pop-ups for a week or even a month. So lots of things that you can do with community. So if you've got questions or you've got ideas and you want to help me brainstorm, please do pop it into the comments because I would love to help you. But today we're going to talk about the new automations that have been added to the automations builder. You may need to update your automations builder if you have not yet done that. I did a full walkthrough of the automations builder in a previous video. So refer back to that if you want to get the lowdown on how to use that new builder. But if you don't see something that looks like this, or you don't go into a new automation and you see this here, then do just bear in mind there might be a banner along the top of your screen. And on that banner, it will say something like update to the new experience. Again, that is for every account. Whether you change to a new plan or not, that new automations builder is available across the board in Kajabi. It's just that you need to update to the automations builder. That will then unlock these new automations within your account. So some of the ones that I have set up to give you an idea of how you could use it. We now have a community DM automation. So for example, on this one, when a contact tag is added, and then you can select a tag, you can send a DM to everyone in your community. So there may be a situation where you want to DM everyone at once. I recently did that to my community members today, where I wanted to test out that feature. So I added a tag. I went into my contacts. I went through every contact, and then I added a tag to all current members. And the adding of that tag after I'd set up that automation then triggered this community's DM to go out to everyone. So it automatically went out to everyone from my DMs, and people can then reply. You may want to send a DM in different situations, perhaps when someone first joins your community. So sending them that direct message, welcoming them in, giving them a little guide to onboarding. It may be something that you can do if you're really community focused, to DM rather than send a confirmation email, or it might be something that you do alongside it. I am really looking forward to when these automations will add the timed feature, because that is coming hopefully soon. And you would be able to do this, so perhaps your send email automation goes out on purchase, and then you have this so 24 hours later or 12 hours later, they then get that welcome DM. So there's different situations that you can use it for. And that's a very exciting automation. Just wanted to add, when you are doing a new automation and you want to use these filters, you will see a couple of options that come up. So you will see this option, welcome new community members with a DM. So when you do this, it's going to kind of create the things for you, and then you just have to connect the right offer. However, it's doing this on when offer is granted. And you can change this to when offer is purchased if you want to, and then you select the offer. But what happens if you want to use this kind of blueprint that they are setting up for you without, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it on offer, I want to do it on something else. Well, you can just remove that from the workflow and then add a new trigger. And adding a new trigger, this is the same if you set up your automation from scratch. You can add any number of triggers. So for example, I added a trigger when a tag is added. It could be a when a tag is removed as well. Like any of those automations can then trigger this to happen. You could have it when there's a certain amount of activity. I'll show you one in a sec, for when people are inactive for a certain amount of time. That's one of the best uses for sending a DM. Maybe if you've got people that haven't been active for 60 or 90 days, it can just be a little nudge. Hey, how you doing? If there's anything that I can do to help, that's a really good use for this. Let's cancel this and we'll add a new trigger. So it could be based on an email broadcast or an email sequence. It could be on a link click in an email. It could be when a specific sequence is finished or started. It could be when someone is added or removed from an event. You can choose, when they are registered for an event. It could also be when there is a form filled out, when there is an assessment completed, a quiz is passed, or possibly even when a quiz isn't passed. So it could be, you select a quiz, actually, and so then you can do it. So maybe if the quiz was failed, and you could be like, oh no, like you seem to have failed that quiz. Is there anything that I can do to help? Do you want to have a chat about it? Something along those lines. So options of things that you can do that will really help automate. But if you are ever in here and the trigger is set because you've used one of those blueprints, do just know you don't have to go with that. It's just kind of setting it up for you in the way that things will work best with that blueprint. But you can just come to that. I'll just do it on a tag, just so you can see what I mean. So if we have this here where it's a tag, or like I showed you before where it was when offer is granted or purchased, you can come into this and just remove it to then change it to a different when thing happens. And then you can send that DM out. So some other ones I've got here that I set up in advance so that you can sort of get some ideas. So I've got that DM when inactive for 60 days. So, when the contact activity, I've put 30 days here, but you could do 30, 60, or 90 days. Then again, send them a message. So you can send a message just saying, hey, just checking in to see how you're doing. And that will go through as a direct message just to that person. You can also have private channels. So Actually, I'll come back and do private channels because that's a really cool use case. This one's one where you may be using that access group in your community as something to go alongside a pop-up event. Let's say you are running a challenge, or you have a webinar or something like that. One of the things that you can now do with automations is you can add multiple automations at once. So I said that in the automations video that I got very excited, because previously we had to do when this happens, then that happens, then a new one, then when this happens, when that happens. And so sometimes with events and forms, you could end up with a heap of different automations, but now we can do it all on one. So in this one, I've got a hypothetical situation happening here. So I've got this community set up for the fireside chats. I don't have an event for each fireside chat, but I absolutely could. So I could register people to each event. And if I wanted to, I could then set up reminders and things specific to that event, which will then trigger because someone is registered to that event. So if you're running a webinar or you're doing something where you really want to have that 15-minute before reminder, you can certainly schedule that, manually as a broadcast, but it may be helpful, especially if you're running a recurring event to like a monthly webinar, for example, where you want to just repeat, you just make a duplicate of all the emails, reminders, etc. So registering to the event will then set that up for you. If you also have, when form is submitted, then grant an offer, and that offer is a community, then you'll also, in the same automation kind of trail, be able to then send a DM. And this is where, again, I would love when we can add that, that time gap. And you can also do something cool. This is something where I have specifically added a private community to a different area of my community. So for example, the Fireside Chats is a free community, but then I also have my membership. So what I've done is created a private channel in here in the Kajabi 101 Quick Start membership. No one can see this channel even exists unless they are added to it. And in the past, that was a very manual process where you had to go through manually adding people. And then if someone left the membership, then you'd have to go and remove them. But if you wanted to have, for example, this little special VIP area that's, where existing members get like, special access, that's a reason I can think that you might want to have it to something else. You can have it so that they are then manually added to that private channel. One thing that I think would be amazing, which I'll talk about in a sec when I do private channels, is then if there was, after a certain period of time, they're then removed from the channel. That's coming, and that will be really cool because that is another option that you can do. You can also send an email. Like I said, I don't know if you'd want to send an email and a DM at the exact same time. It may be better to subscribe someone to a sequence that goes on day one, so they instantly get the DM, then the next communication is an email the following day. And then you can add a tag. So again, in the past, it would have been creating each one of those individually. And something that is coming to offers, to automations that I'll be really happy about, is you can add multiple triggers to the top. So say you have multiple offers for one course and you want them to all go through the same flow, you will be able to add multiple triggers to then trigger that same sequence of events. Some of the other ones I've got here. So I've got this when offer is granted, then post in that private channel. So it may be a case of when someone is granted or purchased an offer. Firstly, you can have an automation to add them to the channel, and then you can post in the channel. So this is an example of one that I've got here. The only disadvantage of this DM, so I've just got this one here so you can see, we do have the ability to personalize at this point in time, which is fantastic. But when it goes into the community, it doesn't tag them. So that's probably the only disadvantage of using the automation option of, I'll just show you here the options. So we've got this when happens, send a community's DM, post in channel, add member to private channel, or remove member from private channel. So you can post in the channel as an automation based on pretty much anything happening, but it does not actually tag them. It just puts their name. So hopefully at some point that will be able to be changed and integrated so it will actually tag that specific member. So, using that DM feature may be, most helpful. It could be that you have posts that go up there that, put someone's name and congratulate them for doing something, but because it's not going to tag them yet, it's probably a little less useful. So another option that I thought of that would be useful for that private community, we've got some automations set up on a couple of our products under the Gamify template. And one of the badges that people can earn is completing everything. So I've already got that set up, based on, when you've got this, and this, then it will grant you the badge to say that you have got everything. So as a nice little Easter egg or a bonus, then something that I would be interested in doing is saying, hey, if you complete every step and you get your full passport, you get a week's access to me, in a private channel, so you can ask me anything or something along those lines. So you can have when offer is granted, and the particular offer that I picked was that passport, so everything is completed, and you can then add them again to a private channel where only a very few number of people. And if you're going to make it extra cool, it would be fantastic if you could then remove people, like when we add that weight, like maybe you get a week's access and then someone's taken out of that channel. So that is some of the ways that you can use these automations. So you could also do it, when a link is clicked in an email, then you add people to a private channel. So that may be like an opt-in. I do think, though, one of the things with private channels, in the past, like the reasons and the ways that I use private channels, I think people have used them in the past as a way to sort of have a VIP area of their membership. So say we had this, VIP like zone of the membership, and then adding people manually to that. So maybe you might have a situation where you've already got people added to a private channel and you're manually removing them. So you could create an automation. I'll just come back here. Let's just do a new one so you can see how it would work. So we're going to start from scratch. So when offer is subscription payment is cancelled, and then you choose the offer, that then you go into remove member from a private channel, and then you would select that channel and you would then remove them when their subscription payment had ceased. So, that's another automation that you consider if you're already using the private channels. But personally, for me, the private channels will probably be maybe a little bit less useful now that we can have unlimited access groups, because some of the reasons why I may have used the private channel in the past was just to avoid having too many access groups and using up too many products. Now I'll probably be much more likely, for some of the reasons that I would have used a private access group, to actually just put people into their own, bigger access group. It's a little bit easier to control the access. It's less manual work. So it's nice that the automations are there if you want to use it. And then also the other reason that I use private channels, or I will use private channels, is if I was doing one-on-one coaching with people that came with additional support. Currently, I have some clients that I work with where it's over Voxer. So when in communities, apparently it's coming, we have voice notes added. I will probably create an access group called private clients and then do a separate channel for each client. That's a little bit harder to give people access to because I create the channel for the client and then manually add them in. But just so you know, there's another reason and way for using those private channels. So I'm excited to see where community goes. It's fantastic. Also, we've now ditched the communities app. We just have one central Kajabi app. So all the courses and the community are now available in one app, which is amazing. Very, very happy about that. And yeah, communities free for everyone. It's a pretty awesome update if you're not already using communities, or you maybe dabbled around with it in the past when it first came out, or even a year ago. I think you'll be really happy to see how much has changed and improved within community, and really take advantage of this free thing that has been added to every Kajabi account. If you got questions, please let me know. I'm here for you. I always love answering Kajabi questions. And, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be going into all of the Kajabi features and how to use them. So if there is something that you want to know, please do let me know so I can make this as useful for you as possible. Have a beautiful rest of your week or weekend, and I will see you on another video very soon. Bye bye.